What's up, guys? No one's here yet, but I'm just gonna start. If you cannot hear me, just say so. I'm pretty sure I got the audio already figured out, but I am going to start because the receiver is saying that it's hearing me, everything's connected. Hi, wife. Can you hear me? Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. If not, thumbs down. Can you hear me? Maybe? I don't know. Let's see. Anyways, sweet. I'm going to do like a quick review of what we did or what I talked about last week. So this is part 2 of the Animal Spagyrics and how I use them, how they can be used to help guide you and help assist you as we move through the circuits, right? So last week we were talking about the first 4 circuits, which are the most difficult of the circuits, because especially the first 2, but these are very deeply ingrained, right? So circuit 1 is the biosurvival circuit, the sacred container. The core question is, am I safe? Can I trust this world? The wound is free-floating anxiety, poor immune function, weak boundaries, feeling like a potential victim. And the alchemical trio for circuit 1. 1 is tarantula, the sovereign, the master of grounded, potent power. It teaches you to be the source of your own safety, to move with deliberate confidence, and to hold a boundary that is felt, not just spoken. It says, my presence is my protection. Storytelling, right? You write your story, you can change the way that you perceived your past stories, right? So any traumas, anything that was done wrong to you, any neglect, so on and so forth, from the first 4 circuits, which goes back to our childhood, right? And even infancy, birth, right? Right before coming out of the canal. You can change these things up because your mind has a story about the conditions in which you were in right before you were born, and infancy and childhood, and we don't remember what those stories were because those stories didn't come with words or syntax, right? So even if you try to go back to that, you still are projecting onto the memory of that thing. So sometimes we don't need to know exactly what happened. We don't ever really need to know what happened to us when we were children, or how it happened, who was at fault, who was the culprit. We just need to know something happened, some things happened. I don't know what it is. I don't need to know what it is. I'm going to go back to those memories and change the story around, change my perception and perspective, and change the storytelling of it. Tarantula, storytelling, weaving your web, your story, right? We use tarantula as the first one for the first circuit to change that up. Number 2, scorpion, the alchemist of shadow. Scorpion takes safety to a deeper, more potent level. It is the master of transforming poison into medicine, right? Threat into power. So it's shifting the way that we see things. So we can use these allies together to help shift the way that we are thinking and perceiving of an old story of how something happened to us or whatever. We can move past that shit and turn it into something more beneficial, more profitable, whatever you want to call it, right? As long as it's under your command and what you want, right? Because the stories that we have from infancy and childhood, these stories don't even have words to them, right? And they're minimalist words. They're child jabber, right? Like, it doesn't mean anything, but it means something at the energetic level, enough for our primordial ancient brains to have created a negative thing about these stories, right? So we can change these things. Modular animal archetype software. Fuck yeah. Yeah. Yes. Hell yeah. Good looks. So Scorpion, it teaches you to not fear your own shadow or the darkness in your environment, but to integrate it and wield it as a sacred defense. It says, that which you fear in me is my greatest power, including that which I fear in myself. that which I fear myself is my greatest power. That which I fear outside of myself is my greatest power. Your weakness is your strength. You just have to get there, right? So your weak stories that are weak in the sense of they're vulnerable to your change in perception and perspective, right? So they're weak stories. They're strong enough to affect your life in a negative way, or a non-beneficial way. There you go. But they're weak. They don't hold the power, but it feels like it. Your fears feel like they hold the power, but fear is not a real thing. It's just something that we do. It's not real, right? There is no object outside of us that is fear, right? We are the ones that fear, that create that thing of fear. We do that. Fear doesn't actually exist in nature. Even like prey animals, they don't experience fear. They just have hyper central nervous systems. That's it. So they're hyper aware of what's going on. Prey animals do not live in fear. Prey animals live in hyper awareness. That's it. They're hyper sensitive to everything that's going on around them. So scorpion, turning the poison, the bullshit, the fears into our benefit. My fears are my power, right? Rabbit is number 3, the sensor. So now we can amplify and stack on scorpion and tarantula, right? The storytelling, turning pain into something beneficial, turning trauma into, right, your weakness into power, or the weakness, because it's not yours, it just is this idea of weakness. Trauma is into power, right? So rabbit is the sensor. Speaking of prey animals, right? Hypersensitivity. This adds a crucial layer because rabbit is hyper vigilant. It's hypervigilance turned into a superpower, right? Mind you, these animals have their flaws, right? And then they become wise. That's why we learn about them. And when they're put through the alchemical processes in the laboratory, not just at the spiritual level, but at the physical salt level, right? At the crystalline level, we then exalt these animals even beyond where they were with their wisdom when they were alive, right? So rabbit, it's not about living in fear, but also having exquisitely tuned senses to read the energetic field for real subtle threats and opportunities. Because in the world that we live in, there are threats, right? We feel fear out of threats, but there are threats, and you don't want to be naive and ignorant to threats. You want to know what's around you. There's a difference between being so hyper aware that you project fear, nervousness, right? And then being very hyper aware without projecting onto it and manifesting or creating that which creates fear, right? So Rabbit says, so it teaches you when to be still and when to move with explosive life-saving speed. That's Rabbit, right? But when rabbits are still, they have to sense. So we're stacking the animals up, right, with the circuit. The tarantula is all about sensation, feeling. Scorpion as well, right? They don't have... rabbit has better eyesight than the other two, but we're using our sensitivity, our ability to sense our environment. We use that to alert us of possible threats, because, you know, if I get a cut in my hand and I shove it down a dirty fucking pipeline or something, like I might get an infection, right? We have an immune system that's natural. To have an immune system, we have these things so that we can do something about it. We have an immune system that can protect us, right? If there is danger. So when I'm talking about overcoming your fears, that has nothing to do with becoming numb where you can't feel anything, right? You need to be able to know when someone is trying to take advantage of you, when someone is lying to you, when someone, right? And even then you need to use discernment, because someone lying to you may not be that they are acting from a malignant place, right? Trying to hurt you or harm you. They might be lying to themselves. So that doesn't mean that you're just going to go attack or stop talking to them or something. But it's nice to fucking know about these things. This is what Owl taught me. Just because I see doesn't mean that I need to speak about it, right? Give the people a chance to show you what their real colors are. But they need to show you that stuff. Anyway, so Rabbit says, my sensitivity is my radar for safety. We're just going to jump to circuit 2, the emotional locomotor circuit, the dance of power. So the core question for that one was, how do I move through the world with power and grace? Well, the wound for that is stuck in emotional loops like rage, shame, anger, inability to take action, feeling powerless, or overly aggressive. The alchemical trio for circuit 2, number 1, is the mountain lion, the embodied asserter. Pure, silent, confident power. It teaches you to own your space and take decisive action from a place of centeredness, not reactivity. It is the energy of silent pounce. Action without unnecessary noise or drama. So, mountain lions, if you see a mountain lion out on the trail, right, don't run, first of all. Second of all, you can tell if the mountain lion is stalking you. I know you got to think really fucking fast, right? I've only had this experience once, and I saw the mountain lion up in Wheeler in Taos, and so I was down, it was above, and I saw it. I saw something, I saw a round object in its head, its ears twitching. So we made eye contact. And the first thing I felt was oh shit, your biological response is to fucking run, right? But something in me calmed me very quickly because I realized that it wasn't hunched over, its ears weren't back, they were forward, they looked at me, but they weren't, the mountain lion was not stalking me. Right, so I say this because if you're working with mountain lion spagyric, it's not pouncing like a predator. Predators don't act like this, but specifically big cats, right? Cats in general, they don't just lunge at stuff because they have a nervous system that's similar to a prey animal. If you ever got near a cat's back, it starts twitching sometimes. They're hypersensitive to the extent of a prey animal, but they're predators. So they're very, very, really fucking cautious, and they're very discerning about what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. So you don't just pounce, even though you are the pouncer, as you're working with mountain lion spagyric. So it's not about reactivity, it's about centeredness before you act, right? So you don't need to react to something all the time. Sometimes you just need to fucking wait. Number 2 is Red Fox, the strategic dancer. Fox brings cunning and strategy to the dance. It's not about brute force. It's about knowing how and when to move. It teaches playful manipulation of circumstances, using cleverness and agility to navigate complex power dynamics and get what you want. Outdated code into the iOS up, yep. And this is what all these things are doing. But if you're not aware that that's what it can do, then it doesn't do it because it's just potentiality, right? And what do we know about potential? You dated that person, had great potential. You hired somebody, great potential, but potential doesn't mean anything if it's not being applied, right? So, number 3, serpent, primal current. Serpent is the raw kundalini-like flow of life force itself. It sheds the past, old stuff, right? So we're moving from circuit 1 with the animals to circuit 2, assuming that we have worked through these things and we have these allies and guides with us. We can now move further through the circuits, right? So serpent is about shedding these things, letting them go. It's a vulnerable time when you're letting things go. So when you're letting things go, you shouldn't be at the club. You shouldn't be getting fucked up. You shouldn't be, you should find space to yourself. Find a room in your house if you have a partner, whatever it is. Take that moment to yourself. Don't go when you need to shed. Don't go seeking other people, places, or things because it distracts, and then it can actually, you can take on things that are not yours. And we do this a lot, right? When you're shedding, take time alone. The next one, so snake, serpent teaches you to move with your emotions, not from them. Channeling that raw energy into transformative power. It says, my power is in my flow, not my force. Right? Circuit 3, the dexterity symbolism circuit, the tool maker's mind. The core question, how do I solve this? What can I create? The wound is mental rigidity, analysis paralysis, lack of curiosity, inability to manifest ideas. And the animal trio for circuit 3, coyote. Number 1, the sacred trickster. The ultimate paradigm shifter. Coyote breaks into your rigid thinking patterns with humor and chaos. Chaos meaning potential, right? Not everything's all over the place. It's just potential. So you should know by now that when I use the word chaos, I mean potentiality that has not, it's out of order. There is no order yet. It's just waiting for us to do that, right? Coyote breaks your rigid thinking patterns with humor and chaos, forcing you to find creative, outside the box solutions. It teaches you to use whatever is at hand and to not take your problems or yourself so seriously. The problems, not your problems, right? The second one is hawk, the panoramic seer. Red-tailed hawk brings the gift of perspective. It rises above the linear, detail-oriented view to see the whole pattern of the solution. Being the difference between hawk and all the animals that I just named is that all those animals are rooted to the ground. They're on the ground. That's it. Like, that's them, right? Red-tailed hawk, outside the box. If I really want to see what's going on with me, if I really want to see what I need to change or what's happening around me, in my household, in my family structures, in my friendship structures, business, whatever, job, whatever the fuck it is, right? Even your own thoughts, your own ideas, you can get out of that. Meditation, right? And meditation allows you to focus on one thing as an observer as opposed to a viewer, a thinker, and an analyzer, right? Observer takes snapshots of everything that's going on, right? Your subconscious is very observant. It just takes snapshots of everything around you at all fucking times. You ever want to know something, you go into your unconscious, your subconscious. Red-tailed hawk is sharper because it allows you to consciously be the observer. So you can be consciously observe without consciously or unconsciously projecting, throwing onto the scene and not being able to actually get the data, because that's what we want, right? We are the experimenters, we're the hackers, we're the scientists behind this game that we're playing. So we need to be able to collect as much data as possible without getting distracted by what we think that we're looking for. We're not looking for anything. We're just taking snapshots in the environment, scanning everything scientifically, right? As a hacker, you need to know all the information that's going on before you break through a wall, right? So that's hawk. The answer is in seeing the bigger picture. The third one is wasp, the master architect. Wasp is the precise engineer. It takes the creative chaos of coyote and the panoramic vision of hawk, and it builds with incredible precision. It knows how to manipulate material, symbols, codes, words, to construct something complex, strong, and functional. It is the power of focused, detailed execution. A lot of people sleep on wasp, and I gotta say, it's a really good one. I've had people prefer honeybee to wasp. I like both of them, but wasp, man, there's a little bit of there's an Aries, like a Sag kind of energy to it, like get the fucking job done. One of the differences between a honeybee and a wasp is that a honeybee, it may sting and not know that was not a threat, but it's gonna die now. Wasp, man, just fucking go. This is the thing that I need to attack. This is the thing that I need to focus on. Cool. I might have homies with me too. We're gonna get the fucking job done. Wasp is fucking amazing. Stuck on a problem? First call on coyote to laugh at the absurdity of it and brainstorm 3 crazy solutions. Then channel hawk, get a bird's eye view of the situation. What's the underlying problem? And finally invoke wasp to identify the one precise, actionable step that you can take right now to start building the solution, right? Now we're gonna go to circuit 4, the social sexual circuit, the tribal weave. Core question, what is my role? How do I connect? The wound, feeling like an outsider, toxic guilt, shame, inability to form healthy bonds, being trapped in a role. The alchemical trio for this circuit is 1, honeybee, the harmonious contributor. The essence of community, collaboration, and creating something sweet, honey, for the collective. It's not just for me, it's for everyone, right? I don't do this for myself. I do this for everyone involved, right? And we all do this if we're all involved. The essence of community, collaboration, and creating something sweet for the collective. It teaches you to find joy and purpose in your life within the hive, to communicate effectively, and to work for a common good. So it's not just about me. It's all of us, right? And the more that we can spread that virus of us, the more that virus spreads amongst us and amplifies that us. So fascinating. Love the understanding. Wasp, the boundary guardian. As before, Wasp defends the sovereignty of the nest. It teaches fierce loyalty to your chosen tribe and the absolute necessity of defending its boundaries. It gives you the courage to sting when necessary and protect the integrity of your relationships. Cicada is number 3, the mythic role shifter. Cicada brings a profound cyclical dimension. It spends years underground in one role as a nymph before a dramatic molting emergence into a completely new form, the singing adult. It teaches you that your roles are not permanent. You can shed old social skin, disappear for a time of transformation, and reemerge with a new song and a new place in the world. Map your tribes, family, work, friends. For each, ask, am I the honeybee, contributing sweetly? Do I need to be the wasp, defending a boundary? Or is it time to be the cicada, preparing to shed the role entirely and sing a new song? So from the ground to safety of tarantula, scorpion, and rabbit, through the powerful dance of mountain lion, fox, and serpent, into the creative mind of coyote, hawk, and wasp, to the tribal weave of bee, wasp, cicada. This isn't just theory, it's vibrational technology for change. And then, this is a sublime and necessary progression. Moving from the terrestrial to the meta-terrestrial circuits is the journey from a human doing to a human being, right? There's a really fucking huge difference between those two. The animal allies are here to serve not as survival guides, but as evolutionary catalysts. So the first 4, we were using the animals as survival guides, right? We're trying to survive through the survival circuits, right? Those are the first 4. So now we're going to go into the last 4 higher circuits. Now we're not using them as survival guides. They're going to catalyze evolutionary change and shift. Each one embodying a specific key to unlock these higher states of consciousness. So the metamorphosis, alchemizing the higher circuits. Introduction to the shift. We've rewired our terrestrial biocomputer, the first 4 circuits. Now we ascend. The circuits 5 through 8 are about transcending the personal self and touching the cosmic. These animal allies are no longer about survival in the world, but about rewiring our connection to the cosmos itself. Right? So, that was a recap of last week's live. The first primal circuits, the very earthly ones where we're rooted. Now we're going to move up the chakras. Circuit 5 is the neurosemantic circuit, the bliss body. The core leap, shifting from linear, goal-oriented consciousness to holistic, present moment sensation and bliss. It's the end of doing and the beginning of being. The block, being trapped in the head, disembodied, adonia, inability to feel pleasure, existential anxiety, and the alchemical catalyst is serpent. The evolutionary key. The serpent is the ultimate master of somatic intelligence. It doesn't think its way through the world. It feels and senses its way with its whole body. It is the Kundalini energy, the primal life force that, when awakened, brings waves of bliss and nonlinear holistic awareness. It sheds the old skin of mental constructs and purely logical identity, allowing you to simply inhabit your body as a vessel of sensation and pleasure. Keep in mind, serpent was the one that it used to have limbs. It had arms and legs, right? It sacrificed that. It's very Odin works, right? So Odin sacrificed so much, including his left eye, hung, from the tree as the hangman, sacrificed life, everything. It gave everything up in order to have knowledge or awareness, right? That's trust. That's faith. When we work from after the first four circuits, moving on to the four last circuits, faith is everything. I don't know how, but I'm fucking I know. There's not I hope. Faith is not hope. Faith is much stronger, much more powerful. Hope is a precursor to faith, right? But hope at some point stops fucking working because you don't trust. That's why you hope. You cling on to your little crystals. You fucking squeeze the fuck out of them, right? Faith. And serpent is all about fucking faith. You give up your limbs to be on the fucking ground like a worm. But now you have access and knowledge and awareness of your own gnosis, right? So if you know yourself, you don't need to know anybody else. If you know thyself, you don't need to know anything. You don't need to know alchemy or herbalism. But, okay, so why do we have alchemy or herbalism? Because they help us on our path to knowing thyself, right? So how to use serpent when you're working on circuit 5. When you are stuck in your head, paralyzed by overanalysis, work with serpent. It pulls your consciousness down from your skull into your entire physical form. It teaches you to think with your skin, your nerves, your bones. It is the key to unlocking the neurosomatic aha moment, where you realize reality is a texture to be felt, not a problem to be solved. That right there. Circuit 6, I know, I'm just taking a second because it's fucking good. Circuit 6 is the neuroelectric or the metaprogramming circuit, the reality architect. So the core leap of this one is realizing that you are not your programs, circuits 1 through 4, all programs. You're not them. You are the programmer. You're the hacker. That's why we're doing this, because we're hacking. We want to learn how to do this so we can then hack, right? You can choose the reality you can choose your own reality tunnels now. 1 through 4, we were subject to reality tunnels we weren't even aware of. Now, through the last 4 circuits, the higher circuits, now we can create our own reality tunnels. Now we can create our own stories. Now we can create and adjust our belief systems to our own liking. And that's it. It may not be the one singular truth, but it's your facts. And that's what's important. Creating your own storyline so that it fits you and it serves you. That's it. The block of this one is dogmatic thinking, inability to see other perspectives, being a rigid realist, feeling completely at the effect of your conditioning. So you're somehow still harmonized with the first 4 circuits, and you're letting go of these as we work through the last 4 circuits, right? These tricksters from the 3rd circuit now return at a higher octave. Their role is not just to solve problems, but to shatter reality tunnels. Reality tunnels are how we see reality. We're wearing horse blinders as we move through the world, so it's the reality tunnel. We can shift these things. Coyote is the chaos that proves the program is not absolute. It creates paradoxes and absurdities that break the grip of a rigid worldview, forcing your consciousness to jump to a new level of perception. All your beliefs, can you find the humor in them? If you can't, try to find the fucking humor in them. When you find the humor in your belief system, the old belief system, not yours, but the old belief system, once you think it's funny, once you find the humor in it, you can then let it go, disattach, disconnect, cut the umbilical cord, and then move on. Animal intelligence, AI bridge software protocols is next. This is what it is, man. Red Fox is the strategic meta programmer. Once Coyote has created an opening, Fox shows you how to stealthily install new, more useful programs. It is the intelligence that learns the rules of any system, any reality tunnel, any belief system, right? So expertly that it can then bend them or rewrite them from the inside. This is hacking, right? Coyote is going to be the distraction, the one that's bringing the humor and everything to get you in. Once you're in, Red Fox is going to show you, like, this is how we're going to fucking do it now. We're going to be very strategic about this shit. So, how to use these guys. When you find yourself trapped in a limiting belief, I always fail, whatever, this is just the way things are. Invoke Coyote to laugh at the absurdity of that absolute statement. You need to be able to laugh at it. Laughter is the most powerful nullifier of anything. You have a powerful fucking demon in your presence, find a way to laugh at it. Find something about it that's fucking humorous. Laugh at that demon. It doesn't matter if it's megalithic. It doesn't matter how old that demon is. If it's from Sumeria, I don't give a fuck. If it's Baal or fucking Beelzebub, you can laugh at them. You just have to find a way in, right? Coyote is the first link on how to find that. Find the fucking thing. Look at those stupid ass fucking fangs. They're not even that fucking sharp. You're not even fucking physical, so you can't hurt my physical body. I'm not even fucking physical. I'm non-local anyways. Your bitch ass seems local. So fuck you, Baal. You're fucking, find the fucking link that allows you with Coyote to laugh at that thing. Once it is being laughed at by you, but authentically, like genuinely being laughed at, because you can't fake a laugh, right? Even if you try, it's not real. Find that humor inside of you, that true, authentic humor, right? And genuinely laugh at it. Once you do that with Coyote, then you can move in with Red Fox, the strategic meta programmer. So Red Fox can help you consciously choose and install a new, more empowering belief, program, reality tunnel, navigating the subconscious with cunning precision. Circuit 7 is the neurogenetic circuit, the ancestral wellspring. The core leap of that is tapping into the collective unconscious, the DNA database, the Akashic records, whatever you want to call it, accessing the wisdom of the entire species. This is the collective unconscious and the collective consciousness. You can't tap into these last 4 circuits without working on the first 4. It's not that they won't let you, it's that you just fucking can't. So you have to put in the work first with the first 4, right? So the core leap of circuit 7 is tapping into the collective unconscious. The block of this, the thing that can impede you from doing this successfully or at all, is a sense of spiritual loneliness, like a separate self with no history, being unable to learn from the past. Persona or collective, right? So the alchemical catalyst is cicada. The evolutionary key, the cicada is the perfect guide for circuit 7. It spends years of specific prime number cycles underground, connected to the root, the mycelial network of the earth, which is a perfect metaphor for the collective unconscious. It does not live a single isolated life. It lives a species life. When it emerges, it sings the one ancient song of its kind. Working with cicada allows you to go underground into your own psyche and tap into ancestral wisdom. That's the DNA, the codes, the gene codes, whatever the fuck you want to call them. We have that. We have that at our disposal. We just have to be able to tap into it. And who better than cicada, right? It teaches you you're not just you. You are a current manifestation of an immense ancient genetic and psychic lineage. We're not alone. It just feels like that. We're by ourselves sometimes, but we're not alone, right? So how to use cicada for circuit 7. In meditation or journeying, use cicada to descend into the soil of your being. Ask to connect with the ancestral wisdom you need right now. Listen for the song that wants to emerge from this deep, timeless space. It is the antidote to existential loneliness. I've been working with cicada a lot lately because I have been feeling this existential loneliness for for aeons before I even got here as Raven. But yeah, now we're going to move on to circuit 8, the cycloatomic non-local circuit, the cosmic weaver. So if you get to this circuit, I mean, none of this, you don't even need like any more of this stuff, only because we can get an introduction to circuit 8, but if you fully submerge yourself into circuit 8 and completion is you're gone. You don't get to stay here when you're done with circuit 8. This is rainbow body, right? You become something, you have to leave your physical vessel to then go into what I predict is circuit 9. Circuit 9 cannot happen here. Circuit 8 is only an introduction, but you cannot finish circuit 8 while you're still here. You have to actually let go. That is the cherry on top of the line. This is the honcho of all fucking things that you're gonna do. It may not be this lifetime, it may be next lifetime. For me, I know it's this lifetime. I've been doing this. I just know this is it, and I'm here to figure out my way through circuit 8 and then go, peace, bitches. Not bitches. I love you guys. But yeah. So the final block is the ego itself, the attachment to being a separate I. So it'll start to make sense why it's not possible to stay here and complete circuit 8. I would say if Jesus of Nazareth was not just a program, but a man that came here throughout the crucifixion process, being up there crucified, that was him finalizing circuit 8, and then resurrecting 3 days later as a spirit body. This reality cannot hold his data, like it could not hold his energy. All he could do is leave a data stream and then bounce. That's circuit 8. So the alchemical catalyst for circuit 8 is Hawk. Makes a lot of sense, right? We're leaving now. At his highest octave, Red Tail Hawk is no longer just a master of perspective, circuit 3. It becomes the non-local witness. It does not just rise above the landscape, it rises above time, space-time itself. From this vantage point, the illusion of separateness dissolves. The hawk's cry is the sound of the universe observing itself. Its mastery of riding the thermal currents is a metaphor for surrendering to the cosmic winds of being, becoming one with the energy that moves through all things. It sees the mouse a single point in space-time, not as a separate object, but as an intrinsic, momentary expression of the whole field. It's beautiful. It's like, I have a hard time like going through the circuit because there's like this kind of bittersweet feeling to it. Anyway, so how to use Hawk in this circuit? In deep contemplative states, merge with Hawk consciousness. Let your awareness expand to become the sky itself, holding all of reality without judgment or attachment. Feel the dissolution of your personal boundaries. In this state, you're not having a mystical experience. You are the mysticism itself. The non-local awareness that is the source and substance of all circuits, all worlds, all time. So, that was it. Yeah, that last one, I could do, we can do lives. I can do hours and hours talking about that last circuit. Yeah, so, and that's it. Unless you guys have any questions, I wanted to cap that off. Let me just read what has been going on. I'm convinced that realms like ours are just model systems for plant, insect, and animals to evolve so their code can be extracted to create new software in other domains. Yep. Possible domains that haven't been created yet. How to alter, domains that have already been created. How to manipulate them, right? Because hacking is just the fucking nature of the game at the end, right? Like, You hack reality when you feel peace with yourself. You hack reality when you feel love for yourself. Because if you feel at peace with yourself, you feel at peace with others. If you love yourself, you love, like you realize the love that you have for yourself. It's not that you love yourself. You realize, I love myself. Holy shit. That means I love other, right? That separateness starts, that boundary between you and I starts to become more and more fluid. But yeah, circuit 8 fucks me up. But yeah, working with these animals. I didn't talk about bear. Bear is already done. I'm just getting all the data together for it. Bear is definitely going to be a helper through the first 4 circuits. I mean, power, agility, right? Bear doesn't fucking just blow out just because it can, right? There's a brute force to it. They're not as tactile as, you know, a mountain lion per se, let's say, but there's something rooted with between Gaia and like bear medicine, bear spagyric. It's finalized already. I have been experimenting. I've been a little like extra respectful because it's bear. I don't think it's gonna bite. I don't think at all that it's gonna bite. It's just being conscientious because I'm very bruteful when it comes to pushing through these psycho-spiritual things. And I've been learning to kind of take it back a notch, like turn down the volume for myself and move through these things. So I'm been slowly dosing bear. Then I'm going to do the big dose. By the time I do the big dose, then I will have everything I need for the website and it'll be available. I was hoping to have it available last week, but I haven't gotten to the massive dose with bear yet. Because I'm not a wild child anymore, or I am, but I'm pretending to slow down, you know, for my friends and my wife and my cats and everybody. But and I already think that these are the effects of bear just by processing it for the last, what's it been, almost 2 years now? Or I don't know, time. But yeah, we'll talk more on that. What I'm attempting to do right now is how to identify for the next live. That might be a 2-parter as well. How to identify manipulation tactics, psyops and stuff in our reality and also with ourselves that they're manipulating our first 4 circuits and how we can identify them. If you can see that it's happening, if you know how it works, if you know that it's being done to you, it starts to shift just the way that you fucking perceive reality. I'm sure that a lot of us have already been going down that route, and it's a lonely path. It feels like that, but if you ever feel like you're starting to wake up, or because it's layers of waking up, right? It's not just like the first time you start to see things as they are, because we project onto the reality. We think that there's a matrix to get out of, and really it's just the matrix of our thought patterns and our circuits. It's not the reality itself, right? If you're going through that right now, DM me, hit me up, shoot me a text, send me your email, whatever the fuck. We can get on the phone and talk about it, because it's not easy until it gets easy. And it only gets easier the further you go into it. The more the discomforting layers that you go through, I think the better it gets, but the harder it gets, and the weirder, and the more discomforting that it gets. But it gets better. I really believe that I know that it does. But yeah, so I'm gonna leave you guys with that. I love you guys. I'll see you guys next week. I don't know, I said I was gonna be on yesterday. I don't know if it's like fucking Mercury retrograde, but I was planning on doing this outside, and then it starts raining, and it's just little things, but I feel good. I hope you guys feel great too. I love you guys. See you guys next week. Ciao.